Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. I do have one quick favor before we get to the video that you came here for, and that is very simply this. You see that little red subscribe button below this video? Go ahead, smash that subscribe button. It really does help me. It really does help this channel grow and my audience grow. So go ahead and hit that red subscribe button. And now, here is the video that you came here for. All right, everybody. I am back. Good to be back. Do want to switch gears a little bit. Do want to talk a little college hoops. And obviously, look, I've said it every episode basically since the college basketball season ended. But this is a busy time of year with the transfer portal. But if you're tired of hearing transfer portal talk, it feels as though we are finally getting to an end. As I told you last week, Sunday at midnight, this past Sunday, May 1st, was the deadline to get your name into the transfer portal to be eligible for next season. And so because of it, we now finally have no more players really going into the portal, but we have guys that are now committing and leaving the portal. And we're starting to get some clarification on what rosters are going to look like over next season. With that said, there is one big name that is kind of in the middle. He's been in the portal for a while, and it appears as though he is ready to commit, and that is Imani Bates. He has not officially made his announcement yet, but everything is trending towards Imani Bates, the former five-star player, who, of course, if you remember, as I've talked about quite a bit on this show, at one point was the most highly coveted high school player in America, was believed to be on the trajectory to be one of the great high school players of all time, was the National Player of the Year as a sophomore, goes through COVID, ends up reclassifying and playing at Memphis last year. Didn't necessarily work out at Memphis. He decides to hit the transfer portal because he is not yet eligible for the NBA draft. And like I said, it appears as though we are starting to get to the closing stages of his decision. Earlier this week, he announced the final six: Arkansas, Michigan, Eastern Michigan. He's from Michigan. That's where Eastern Michigan comes in. Seton Hall, DePaul, and Louisville. And while nothing is official yet, we had multiple reports from multiple recruiting writers that it appears as though the Louisville Cardinals are about to get Imani Bates to commit to them in the coming weeks. Nothing is official yet. As I record here, it is not official, but I want to start talking about it because it feels like it is all but a foregone conclusion. I actually spoke with somebody that I really respect in college basketball, never really led me wrong in all the years I know him. He told me on Thursday as well that Imani Bates is about to be a Louisville Cardinal. So let's talk about this, and we can obviously get into it in greater detail when Imani Bates officially commits, but I'll say this. From both the player perspective and the school perspective, I actually like this fit a lot. Not quite sure how good Imani Bates is going to be. I actually think he should go to the G League and develop, but it became clear that his family and his camp want him to go back to college next year, and I actually like the Louisville fit for Imani Bates and vice versa quite a bit, and here's why. First of all, Louisville just needs talented players, right? And to me, this is almost like Kenny Payne basically taking over Louisville. One, it's just jarring the lack of talent that was in this program even last season when Chris Mack started as the head coach before he was, I guess he ultimately quit. He wasn't really fired. But it was jarring the lack of talent in this program when Kenny Payne took over. And so to me, this is almost like when a football coach takes over a program and he just recruits a bunch of players and he just throws them into the fire and he says, hey, there is plenty of playing time to be had in this program. Come in here, earn your spot, and play right away. For Imani Bates, that's exactly what he needs, and we'll get into the Imani Bates perspective in a minute. But from Louisville's perspective, this is great. I don't know if Imani Bates will ever live up to what he was hyped to be when he was a 15, 16-year-old high school player. I don't think he probably will be. But at the same time, he is a 6'8", 6'9" wing that as a 17-year-old freshman last year, when he should have been a senior in high school, averaged almost 10 points per game on 33% three-point shooting during the season. Now, if you watch the games, he's got a lot of flaws in his game. He doesn't really make people better. He doesn't, he didn't shoot the ball outside of three-point range particularly well when he got in the paint. He needs to add muscle, and this is not a criticism of him. I think it's a fact. I think it's probably things that Kenny Payne, all these coaching staffs have actually talked to him about. At the same time, though, you can't teach 6'8". You can't teach put the ball on the floor. You can't teach shoot 33% from three as a 17-year-old high school player. A kid that should be in high school. And so to bring him in, you're just bringing in a super talented player into the program, And then you got to hope that the background of Kenny Payne, of Danny Manning, of all these guys that have been around basketball forever. Danny Manning, of course, the assistant coach at Louisville, longtime NBA player, longtime Wake Forest head coach, former head coach at Tulsa, coached at Maryland last year. You hope that you bring in a really talented player, and you hope that he develops under a staff that has a ton of NBA experience. And again, we can criticize Imani Bates, and trust me, I have. He did average almost double figures as a freshman last year, so that's the first reason why I like it. Is I just think Louisville needs talented players. Just get them into the program, and you figure it out from there. And if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But there's no reason not to take him if you're Louisville. I think the second thing is, I think this immediately creates buzz for Louisville and interest in Louisville in a way that there would not be if a player of Imani Bates' stature, of his notoriety, and I would argue he's going to be one of the 2 or 3 most famous, if you will, college basketball players in America next year, right up there with Oscar Tshiebwe and Hunter Dickinson and Caleb Love and guys like that. This automatically brings eyeballs and interest to the University of Louisville. And what I would say is a couple things. One, I've said for a long time, I believe that Louisville is one of the best jobs in college basketball for all of the reasons that I've already said. They play in what is essentially an NBA arena. On top of that, they have what is essentially a major blue blood fan base. The city loves Louisville. They have a massive fan base. They're really well funded. But the results just haven't been there on the court. I mean, if you look it up, it is kind of jarring what Louisville's track record has been over the last couple of years. I looked it up prior to this segment. How about this? One NCAA tournament win since 2015. Since 2015, they have one NCAA tournament win that came during the 2017 NCAA tournament. That was the year Donovan Mitchell was there. Now, to be fair, 2020, if there was a tournament, they probably would have been a favorite to at least make it to the Sweet 16, would have been a second or third seed. But if you need some perspective on how down and uninteresting Louisville has been, how about this? Villanova has made more Final Fours since 2016 than Louisville has NCAA tournament wins. Villanova has won more national championships in the past 7 years, 6 years, whatever it is, than Louisville has won NCAA tournament games. Villanova has 2 national championships since 2016. Louisville has 1 NCAA tournament win. That shows you how far Louisville has fallen down the pecking order. Forget the fact that Auburn has made a Final Four over that stretch, multiple Sweet 16s. I think they have anyway. Forget the fact that Alabama made a Sweet 16, that Arkansas has made back-to-back Elite Eights. You start thinking about all of the programs that have had all of this success since Louisville has been relevant. Imani Bates immediately brings that, and he immediately brings it in a way that I just think it makes Louisville interesting in a year where, I'm not saying you can't go into the year and not be interesting, but think about who you're competing with in the ACC and in the state of Kentucky. North Carolina is going to be the preseason number 1 team in the country. We're going to be watching them. Duke is going to have the number 1 recruiting class with a new head coach. We're going to be watching them. Kentucky is always interesting from their perspective within your own state, so we're going to be watching them. And so when I look at this move for Louisville, it automatically makes them interesting. You're going to tune in. You're going to want to see what Louisville looks like with Imani Bates on the floor. And that's why I like it for Louisville. And the last reason is this. It's basically only a 1-year commitment, right? Imani Bates, as I said, is not yet eligible for the NBA draft. He ain't coming back for a third year of college basketball. He ain't coming back for a third year of college basketball. And so because of it, if you're Louisville and if it doesn't work out, guess what? It's only a 1-year commitment. And you got a player that may be an NBA player that has NBA potential. If it doesn't work out, well, guess what? If it doesn't work out, he's gone in a year, you move on, whatever. If it does work out, though, all of a sudden Kenny Payne can say, hey, look at what we did with Imani. He came in, it was a little bit of a mess. Didn't really work out at Memphis. We came in, we brought him in here, we fixed some things up, we sent him to the NBA. So for me, I think it's a 0-loss game for Louisville taking Imani Bates. At the same time, what I would also say from Imani Bates' perspective is this. I think this is a great fit for him too. Now, I said it a minute ago. If it was me advising him, if it was me advising his family, first of all, I would have told him don't come to college basketball this past year. I think that was just a big, big, big mistake. And I would have said don't come back to college basketball in 2022, 2023. Go to the G League, get off the radar, get out of the spotlight, and work on your game. Go with that G League coaching staff headed by Jason Hart, who played in the NBA for 10 years. Go ahead, stay with them, get off everybody's radar, and focus on what you need to do to get ready for the 2023 NBA draft. That's what I would have told Imani Bates' family if they had asked me. But they didn't ask me. And so because of it, It's clear that they're going to play college basketball. And if you're going to play college basketball, this is actually kind of the perfect spot. One, like I said, Louisville really needs talent. They just need players. And you're going to be able to come in and you're going to be able to get as many shots as you want. You're going to be able to do a lot of different things. That was not the case at Memphis last year. And I know people want to criticize Penny Hardaway for everything. You can criticize him for taking Imani Bates, but part of the reason Imani Bates struggled in Memphis was because he had a lot of good players in front of him. And, you know, the players that were at Memphis last year, Lester Quinones, DeAndre Williams, Landers, Nolly, those guys are going to help you win games right now. And so I think Penny Hardaway was trying to find that balance between developing Imani but playing the guys that help him win prior to Imani Bates' injury. And he had an obligation to play the older guys because they were helping him win. With Imani, though, at Louisville, well, guess what? Now you don't got to worry about that. There ain't no players at Louisville. You don't got to worry about that. You got to worry about getting on the floor, getting all the shots you want. And, oh, by the way, you also have that really, really, really big stage at Louisville as well. I mentioned it, the ACC. 2 games probably against North Carolina, 2 games against Duke, 1 game against Kentucky. You're playing in the Maui Invitational. Imani Bates and his camp, if you want a stage, if you want to prove how good you are, if you want the chance to show everybody that you're that dude that everybody thought you were, this is about as perfect of a place. And keep in mind, again, Kenny Payne, head coach, comes from the New York Knicks, was a great talent developer at Kentucky before that. That's why the Knicks wanted to hire him, was because of his success developing players at Kentucky. Knicks had a young roster. It helped them out. Danny Manning helped develop, he's a longtime NBA player, longtime coach. This is almost a perfect fit for Imani Bates. I don't know if it will work, but he could have done a lot worse in finding another school.